Mr. Griff's final exam. Please read questions carefully. There's only one correct answer. Number 1. What was James Watt's contribution to industrialization in England? A. He invented a less expensive way to manufacture or make steel. B. He invented a more efficient steam engine. C. He invented the internal combustion engine. Number 2. One reason why Great Britain became the first nation to industrialize was that it what? A. Had a government that supported property rights. B. Had high population density, which means that the population was very dense, so a lot of people. C. An empire that could supply it with coal. Number 3. The textile industry was the first industry to be transformed by mechanization because A. A larger percentage of people worked in the textile industry than in any other. B. Cloth making was very laborious and time consuming, so it means it was very exhausting and it took a lot of time. Or C. Globalization created a large surplus of raw cotton. Number 4. When France industrialized, why did its factories rely more on water power than steam power? A. France decided that steam engines were too harmful to the environment. B. France lacked significant coal reserves, so they didn't have reserves for coal. Or C. France saw its rivers as its greatest natural resource. Number 5. What invention made the expansion of the steel industry in the American Midwest possible? So something made the steel industry able to expand. What was it? Was it A, interchangeable parts, B, the Bessemer process, or C, the internal combustion engine? 6. What European nation became a leader in heavy manufacturing and the chemical, electrical equipment, and weapons industries in the late 1800s? A, France, B, Germany, C, Great Britain. 7. The American car maker Henry Ford was the first large-scale manufacturer to use what? A, interchangeable parts, B, unskilled workers throughout the production process, or C, the assembly line method of production. 8. What was one effect of mechanization on agriculture? A, many farmers abandoned the raising of livestock. B, farmers needed more acreage to produce the same amount of food as before. Or C, farmers were able to make more healthful food available. Number 9. During the enclosure movement in England, landowners B, funded the manufacturing ventures of men who lived on their land. C, sold their land to small farmers who had previously rented it. Or D, took back the rights to their lands from small farmers. Number 10. How did a few large companies come to dominate industrial economies by the late 1800s? A, by buying smaller companies or driving them out of business. B, by creating partnerships with national banks. Or C, by establishing multinational corporations throughout the globe. Number 11. What was the most notable way social structures in Western nations were changed by industrialization? A capitalist class developed which dominated high culture. B, a majority of people entered the middle class for the first time. Or C, a new subordinate group, the working class, was created. 12. What was one reform labor unions succeeded in winning in the Western countries by 1900? A, health insurance, B, the 6-day work week, or C, paid vacation time. 13. The policy in which a state takes political and economic control of areas beyond its borders is called what? Capitalism, imperialism, infrastructure, or partition. Number 14. What was one way industrialization encouraged imperialism? A, European countries needed more space and land to build factories. B, investors were looking for more raw materials to use in their products. C, growing industries needed larger markets for their manufactured goods. 15. The British Parliament took direct control over India after A, the French attempted to take control of the area. B, hostile Indian soldiers rebelled against the British. C, Russia threatened its sphere of influence in South Asia. 16. Which of these best explains why European powers competed intensely for China? A, they wanted to bring Christianity to the people there. B, they wanted to build military bases that were there to fight Japan. Or C, they wanted to market products to China's large population. Number 17. The Spanish-American War in 1898 resulted in the United States having or doing what? A, extending the Monroe Doctrine through the Roosevelt Corollary. B, gaining control of islands in the South Pacific and the Caribbean Sea. C, dissolving its colonies in Asia and urging other countries to do the same. 18. Informal imperialism is when a dominant country A, occupies and controls another country directly. B, rules a colony through a company or military base. Or D, exerts pressure or influence without physical conquest. Number 19. One way Britain was able to exercise control over Latin America was by A, providing loans to Latin American countries for capital expansion. Sorry, that was my dog whining. B, integrating soldiers from Latin American countries to Britain's military. D, setting up D, setting up embassies in Brazil and Argentina to carefully watch their governments. Number 20. The Roosevelt Corollary implied that A, imperialist powers should only be allowed to influence Latin America through direct imperialism. B, countries should work together to help Latin America recover from political turmoil and become economically independent. C, the Monroe Doctrine was outdated and should no longer be in effect, allowing European nations to colonize Latin America. 21. One way colonizers improved their colonies' infrastructure was by A, encouraging colonies to industrialize. C, introducing natives to Western education. D, building railroads that transported goods. 22. Which of the following best defines sphere of influence? A, a relationship in which the protection and partial control of one's nation is held by another, more powerful nation. B, an area within which the political and economic interests of one nation are more important than those of other nations. C, an empire that extends across more than one continent. 23. Economic imperialism by the United States aroused a spirit of nationalism in A, South Asia, B, Latin America, C, the Middle East. 24. Which factor posed the greatest threat to the survival of Austria-Hungary? A, fascism, B, militarism, C, nationalism, or D, authoritarianism. 25. Which invention made World War I especially deadly? A, the tank, B, the catapult, or C, the machine gun. 26. An important direct result of World War I was what? A, foreign occupation of Germany. C, the unification of the Middle East. D, the breakup of the Ottoman Empire. 27. In some European countries, fear of communism led people to support A, inflationary policies, B, economic imperialism, C, authoritarian dictatorships. 28. The political movement called fascism was created where? A, Italy, B, Spain, C, Japan. 29. In which of the following ways did Germany attack Britain during World War II, causing considerable destruction? A, by enforcing a naval blockade. B, by having airmen parachute in, or C, by dropping bombs from airplanes? 30. What caused the United States to enter World War II? A, Japanese occupation of Indochina, C, a German attack on an American ship, or D, an attack by Japan on an American base? 31. After World War II, both Korea and Vietnam were what? B, brought under the control of authoritarian dictators, C, unified under new constructions written by nationalists, D, divided between communist and non-communist parts. 32. Indian independence was delayed by differences between Hindus and Muslims. What solution finally led to independence? B, 2 separate countries were made, C, part of the territory remained a colony, or D, communists controlled the eastern half? 33. If the Americans had not participated in World War II, what would have happened? A, Germany would have won, B, the British would have won, or C, the Russians would have won? 34. In which of the following ways did Germany attack Britain during World War II, causing considerable destruction? A, by enforcing a naval blockade, B, by having airmen parachute in, or C, by dropping bombs from airplanes? 35. What caused the United States to enter World War II? B, news of a genocide in Nazi Germany, C, a German attack on the American ship, or D, an attack by Japan on the American base? 36. After World War II, both Korea and Vietnam were what? B, brought under the control of authoritarian dictators, C, unified under new constitutions written by nationalists, or D, divided between communist and non-communist parts? 37. Indian independence was delayed by differences between Hindus and Muslims. What solution finally led to independence? B, 2 separate countries were set up, C, part of the territory remained a colony, D, communists controlled the eastern half? 38. What nation destabilized the balance of power in Europe in the years before World War I with its increasing military and industrial might? A, France, B, Germany, C, Great Britain? 39. What was the name of the alliance that Germany formed with Italy and Austria-Hungary in 1882 to protect itself from its neighbor France? A, the Reinsurance Alliance, C, the Triple Alliance, or D, the Triple Entente? 40. How many Europeans react to outbreak of war in August 1914? No, not how many. How did many Europeans react? So how did they react to the war? A, they blamed their governments for needlessly entering the war, which means that they blame them for going into the war for no reason. B, they braced themselves for what they knew would be a long, difficult fight. Or D, they welcomed the war with patriotic celebration. 41. The Schlieffen Plan, Germany planned to win the war by B, quickly knocking France out of the fighting, C, first invading and defeating Russia, D, relying on the Allies to fight for them. 42. During the war, nations began to print a lot of paper money because B, they had difficulty paying the cost of war, C, they had no other way of affording reparation payments, like the money that they had to pay back, or D, they wanted to flood foreign economies with worthless currency. 43. Why did the United States remain neutral when World War I first broke out? A, American companies saw the war was an opportunity to sell supplies to both sides. B, the United States had cultural ties to Britain, but it also had a large German-American population. C, the United States saw the war as a purely European dispute, or D, all of the above. 44. What German tactic eventually drew the United States into World War I? A. The bombing of American naval outposts. B. The use of submarines against merchant ships. C. The use of tanks on the Western Front. 45. The Treaty of Versailles, signed by Germany and the Allied powers, did what? Did it B. Give Germany control of the Rhineland region? Did it keep German national borders the same as before the war? Or D. Required Germany to accept responsibility for starting the war? 46. The last Czar to rule Russia was who? A. Alexander III, B. Catherine II, C. Nicholas II. 47. After Alexander II liberated the serfs, many peasants were what? A. Content in their freedom, B. Disappointed by emancipation, C. Able to receive land without pay. 48. After the Civil War, the government took over all private businesses and industries and dictated what was to be produced. The economic policy is known as B. Neo-Marxism, C. Red Terror, or D. War Communism. 49. Which of the following actions might be taken by a caudillo? Sorry, I don't know how to say that. I tried. A. Using force to take power. B. Using peaceful means to maintain order. Or C. Running a fair election. 50. One result of the growth of industry in the United States and Europe in the late 1800s and early 1900s was A. Rapid growth for Latin American economies. B. Fewer exports from Latin American nations. C. Less investment from U.S. companies. I'm going to go ahead and make a part 2, so go ahead and go back to your email and click on a new link.